morning and welcome to Norwalk City School District Board of Education regular meeting, September 10th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burkett. Here. Mrs. Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Norris.
Here.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett. Yes. Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
Special presentation.
Yes, this evening we have two presentations. The first one focuses on our district-wide goal of improving attendance. So we have two ladies who have done a lot of work to improve that, and we're working toward that. So that was a goal last year, continues to be a goal for the 25-26 school year as well. So Sandy Stewart and Jen Gerber. Once Jen gets the camera position, because she has to do
So I
it
can
all.
live stream myself? Yes, thank you. Yeah.
All right, so we were gonna come and talk to you guys last month, and then when Jennifer King's retirement got moved, we realized like nobody's listening to anything other than Jennifer, and she deserves like that meeting to herself. And September's Attendance Awareness Month anyway, so happy Attendance Awareness Month. It's a good time for us to tell you a little bit about what we have been doing in our district. And it is something we've been working on for a while. If you remember, not last year, but the year before, kind of started our little grassroots Get There campaign, because we knew it was something that we wanted to focus on, and we worked pretty hard, but we realized like we don't know what in the world we're doing, like we have nothing behind us other than what we came up with. And then the state really started pushing this attendance campaign, Stay in the Game, and we're like, wow, they do a lot of the work for you. It's backed by the state. And we looked in, kind of found out some information. So it's a little new. It was founded in 2019, backed by the Cleveland Browns Foundation, so the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, and Harvard Ground. So there's a lot of research that has gone into this. There are a lot of resources that pour into it, and it is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger in the state. So we're in the northern part of Ohio, so we are part of the Browns part of this, but there is, the Columbus Crew is Central Ohio's mascot or team, FC Cincinnati, I think. If you guys are soccer fans, you might correct me if I'm saying that wrong, but Cincinnati, and all of a sudden I'm starting to see the Steelers pop up, which I'm like, how are they letting that happen? Like, if the Browns have founded it, I don't care one way or the other, but it just seems like you would that. I mean, hey, if they can team together, good for them. So they're all backing all of this, and what is provided, what we had to do, they gave us a playbook, and there are sections of the playbook that we have to complete. So who are your team members? What activities are you going to do? What community members are you going to team with? What else? We have to set goals, and you have to complete your entire playbook to be considered an all-star district. And to be an all-star district, that's when we get our resources, that's when we get our incentives, that's where we get a lot of the things that are coming in for us. So what is provided mainly? Yes, incentives. They give us stuff that we just, I mean, we wouldn't be able to buy 800 t-shirts and 700 yard signs and have chomps come to Reading Under the Lights and all of the little trinkets that we give to the elementary schools, things like that. That part is fantastic. But as I said, with the playbook, it provides us organization. I am a very type A person. I like my checklists. I like knowing when I get something done and being able to do something in order, and it provides that. It makes us focus on data instead of just thinking we know what our attendance is. We're actually looking at data, and it really provides accountability for us because every quarter I have to turn in our numbers from the district for what did it look like there. They know our goal. I have to put in our quarter numbers, and it tells us where do we stand, what do we need to do to hit those goals for the year. One of the big kind of switches once we started working with Stay in the Game was we started talking about chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism, I'm guessing you guys are a little familiar with House Bill 410, it no longer exists. That is where our focus is going, and what I love about chronic absenteeism as an educator is it's not my job to worry about kids going through the court process if they're not here, and truancy and all of that. That is an office job, and I know I work in an office, but I'm in a different part of the office. chronic absenteeism means we need our kids in school so they can learn. It doesn't matter if it's an excused absence, an unexcused absence, suspensions, they all count towards chronic absenteeism because if they're not there, they're not learning, they're not socializing, they're not getting what school is supposed to be giving them. So we're focusing on, are you in school so you have the opportunity to learn? And that's been a big switch because people know, like I can write a note, it's excused, things like that. Well, we want that to happen still. We still need to have those notes. We still need to know why you're out. And we're not looking for perfect attendance, but if you're not there, you're not benefiting from what school has to offer and what our entire purpose is. So that's been a really big switch for what we've kind of focused on. So why does chronic absenteeism matter? Well, if you, go to the next one for me, if you're not in school, we have a lot of research that shows by missing even just a few days a month, a lot of drastic changes happen. Now I just like the little pencil thing and I couldn't recreate it, so we not borrowed, it's part of what they give us. Yeah, well, it's part of what they give us to use. But what it's showing is who can read on grade level after third grade. And so the majority of students who are not chronically absent are able to do that. If you are at risk, so not quite chronically absent, so we're talking kids who are missing approximately 9 days a year. 9 days a year, not quite chronically absent. Now we've dropped below half of those students being on grade level to read in the third grade. If you are chronically absent, so more than 9 days, one or the other year, so kindergarten or first grade, we've dropped down to 41%. And if you're chronically absent both of those years, 17% of those students are on grade level. There is a direct correlation between being in school and staying on track with your reading skills, your math skills, and I throw in socialization as well. Social skills are just as important at those younger levels also. Once we start to get a little bit older, now you're kind of playing catch up. By 6th grade, absenteeism is one of 3 signs of a dropout risk. It's one of 3 things that they're looking at. By 9th grade, they have found that there is a more direct correlation between your attendance and graduation than your 8th grade test scores and graduation. Attendance really matters at that higher level. And Mr. King, you did some of the math for us. So I think a lot of times people are like, 2 days a month, that's not that big of a deal. 2 days a month makes a student chronically absent. And if you look at the hours, the days, and the years, if a student misses just 2 days in a month, they've missed 13 and a half hours of instruction that month. They miss 121 and a half hours that school year. And if they were to miss 2 days every year of school, from kindergarten through graduation, they missed 1.5 years of instruction. That is significant. And I think because we're like, it's 2 days a month. You know what, sometimes you're gonna be sick and you're gonna miss 2 days a month. That's why it's important on those days you're not, get yourselves to school. And that's what we're trying to kind of have our students, our staff, and now our parents understand. I think we've done a pretty good job. Our kids know about this, our staff knows about this. We've talked a lot, and Jen's gonna go over some of what we've covered with them. But we realized, okay, we've gotta make sure our parents are educated about this, and we thought this was a really good step of trying to start that conversation and make that happen as well. So with chronic absenteeism, Stay in the Game gives us 5 risk categories. Jen and I are both color people, so we color coded them. And if you talk to our staff and you say, how many students do you have that are moderately chronically absent, they're gonna look at you. But if you say, how many orange students do you have, they're going to know. We talk in colors, it just seems a little easier. So students who miss 5 or less are in that satisfactory category. At risk of chronic absenteeism is 5 to 9%. Like I said, that is kind of that missing 9 or less days in a school year if you're estimating. Students in the green or yellow are not considered chronically absent by the state standards, especially like on indicators on your report card. Then we drop into the chronically absent. So 10 to 19% is moderate, that's our orange student. 20 to 49% severe, and 50% or more is extreme. 50% or more, we had, I believe, 6 students last year for part of the year. 3 were in one family that had moved out of state that we could not get paperwork on, so by the end of the year we got some things cleaned up. So we definitely, we're talking at most a handful of kids in that situation. It's not very common, but that's what we're looking at as Stay in the Game, as well as on our state report card, because they do have these indicators as well. What we started doing as a strategy was each of our staff members, all staff members, receive a report twice a quarter that lists each of their students in which risk category they are. They are color coded, so every single teacher can look at their students and see where do they stand. And they get an update, where were they, let's say it's quarter one interim, and then they're gonna see quarter one report card. Then they're gonna see quarter two, so they can see if the student's moving up or down as the year goes. We wanted to make sure we see those trends as well. Jen and I look at big numbers. We look at building percentages. We look at district percentages. That's not for teachers to worry about. I need the teachers to be those frontline people that they are and talk to those kids in front of them. Talk to the parents that they're working with, because that's where the most is done, is if a teacher's having a conversation with a student, with a parent, and by providing consistent, accurate data to them, I feel like that's where we're moving in the right direction. So some of the things we've kind of done, I'm gonna let Jen pick up on how we're addressing this.
So we made this a district goal from last year, and our district leadership team, every year, we meet and talk at the beginning of the year, well, what areas do we need to focus on, what are the priorities, things like that. And one of the most difficult things is to find an area that applies to everybody. Not everybody's a math teacher, not everybody's a reading teacher, and so finding something that we can all focus on, that's really tough. As we talked about this, and we already had the stay in the game stuff in place and things like that, this made a lot of sense. And not just because of that, but this is a very important thing. As the statistics show, attendance was a pretty no-brainer. And we can make a lot of instructional changes in our rooms, but if the kids aren't here to experience those, we're kind of fighting a losing fight. So our goal was to try and decrease the kids, and as Sandy said, I'll say the orange category, because that's what we refer to it as the staff. And as she mentioned, if you have kids that are down here, sometimes those are situations that we have no control over. They're kids that have moved, things that might involve courts and things like that. That's not something that a teacher can actually focus on in their classroom. But these kids here, these are the ones that we want to focus on. If we can get them up into the yellow and the green, that's where we're going to get the most impact. And so our goal was to decrease that category by 3%. So when we talk strategies as to how to accomplish this, there were 3 areas that we looked at. We looked at bringing awareness to it. We looked at collecting and using this data effectively. And then also we asked the teachers in the buildings, think of some things that we can do to make an impact that aren't overwhelming, that doesn't turn into one more thing on top of everything that you're doing, that's fun, that's engaging. And so with the awareness part, we presented to all the buildings. So we gave basically a version of this presentation to every staff member. We wanted every staff member to understand what are these categories, what is stay in the game, what kind of resources are we gonna have, why does attendance matter? There were signage, posters, things on social media and things like that. The second part, as far as the data goes, as Sandy said, we had these awesome spreadsheets that she ran, and so we were able to put that into teachers' hands. And most teachers, if you ask them, they would be able to tell you, I know so-and-so misses a couple days a week, but to actually have that concrete list to say, oh, John Smith, he's been missing more frequently than usual. I noticed that last quarter he was in the yellow and now all of a sudden he's dropped to orange. Like, I need to make that connection with the kids. And so we emphasize that with the staff, that one of the easiest things that they can do is make that connection with the kid and with families. And not in a got you, you're in trouble kind of way, but a, hey, Kayla, I noticed that you were out a couple days last week. What's going on? We're glad to have you back. Make that positive connection with them to let them know that we want them here for good reasons, not just because we're trying to see you guys get in trouble. So that was a major push with us this year. We had different challenges throughout the year so that the buildings, again, we tried to create this feeling that the whole district is on the same team, we're on the same page to try and increase attendance. And as you guys know, for the next 4 years still, we're 6 different buildings. We're gonna solve that in 4 years thankfully. But anything that we can do to make all of our buildings feel like we're all working together towards one thing, we're gonna take advantage of that. So we talked about some fun challenges to do. You can see up here some of these pictures. We had chums come to major things like reading under the lights. We tried to incorporate staying in the game into big events like that when we could. All the buildings had spirit weeks. We made it district-wide. You can see we've got barbecue dads versus soccer moms. I think that was one of them.
Oh, I haven't gotten that.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet, I'm sorry.
Here, I'll go there.
That's okay, yep.
Rachel and, yeah, that was barbecue dads versus, they were the barbecue dads.
Yes.
There were an awful lot of soccer moms in the hall, but
The upper right-hand corner there is anything but a backpack, so that's a little sled that they decided to bring all of their school stuff with. Neon Day, you even saw Mr. Cooley not in a suit to take part in some of the spirit stuff. That's a pretty momentous occasion for us. We had a holiday to holiday challenge, so from Thanksgiving to Christmas, we gave away 2 signed footballs. That was again part of the resources that the Browns provide us, so that was a good incentive. And we were doing really good, we had some good momentum, and then the great, Black Plague flu season of January hit all of us. And so we kind of went off the rails a little bit there as far as our attendance goes. One of the things we talked about though is we weren't expecting that, obviously. That's not something we can necessarily control. So if you looked at our numbers in third quarter, they were terrible. And staff and students. There were a lot of us, including people in this room, that we were out for a week at a time, that would normally miss that kind of school. That's nothing that we can really control. I mean, maybe we could extra sanitize stuff and things like that. But one of the things that we looked at for this year were to provide some health guidelines. We worked with our school nurse to come up with a handout for parents. Maybe you've seen that come across your peach jar, folders and things like that to say, when should you stay home? As important as attendance is, we don't want kids to come to school when they're sick and then spread it to everybody else. We also understand that things happen, obviously. There's, deaths in families and things like that. Of course, stuff's gonna happen. But outside those kind of extreme circumstances, we obviously want our kids to be here. So we try to provide a little bit of guidance as far as that goes. So once we made it through flu season, third quarter's always tough for us. And so how do we get this momentum back? Well, it's basketball season. So we decided that we would have a March Madness style competition in the buildings. And all of the homerooms or teams, grade levels, kind of depended on what building you were in, they came up with their own March Madness brackets. I don't know how well you can see those. And so each week, teams would get eliminated based on their attendance. And at the end of that, every single building had a winner, and so they got to pick different kinds of prizes like a pizza party, ice cream, things like that. Obviously we want to emphasize that the educational payoff is there, but a little bit of food, a little bit of incentives never hurt anybody too. And, did you bring
Oh, I forgot my,
Oh, no.
I forgot my necklace. Well, if you can
That's
see
okay.
Janice.
Yeah, if you can see Mrs. Smith there, not only were they in competition for some kind of party, but the principals got to wear this amazing cheap plastic but cool looking Browns necklace and wear that with pride and honor every week. And there was quite the competition. Naturally, Mrs. Smith won it a week because she's got to win. So good. It was a good challenge for everybody.
And the rest of the district celebrated when League won for a week, and I got to take it away from Mrs. Smith at Pleasant. I didn't go to Pleasant. But yeah, that was fun too.
That was fun. And so, again, it is about the educational value and things like that, wanting our kids here, staff too. But it also builds this really good sense of competition and community within our school district. So there's a lot of benefits that we've seen from that, bringing this awareness to us. We have this data now, but we can move forward and we can build on this year.
So we started this year by sending out last year's information to all of this year's teachers. So they started their year knowing where their students kind of ended last year, to kind of like, if there's a kid who maybe was in the orange, make that phone call home and say, hey, I'm really looking forward to having you in school this year. Do you guys have any questions? Like, make some of those early connections to try to help a little bit. We knew that we wanted to do a Spirit Week challenge again, but when I had my first State of the Game committee meeting, they wanted to kind of hit the ground running. So we're already in the midst of our first challenge. So it started on Monday, it goes through next Wednesday, and it's kind of our big prize challenge. So we have 8 tickets to the Browns versus Packers game on the 21st, and then we have 2 signed footballs, one by Dylan Sampson, so rookie running back that had a pretty good game on Sunday, and one by Joe Flacco. So students at Maplehurst and the high school will each receive a signed football. One student at each will receive a signed football, and then the other 4 buildings get 2 tickets to the game. So I can tell you, I looked it up before I came down. Right now in the high school, we still have 445 students in the running for that football. I'm pretty happy with that overall number-wise. And I do want to really quickly mention my Stay in the Game committee, because these are people who, like, we meet at 7:15 through Zoom. I will tell you, 7:15 for me is not easy. I don't like early morning, but my elementary people said, hey, can we do it before we get started with kids? And I thought, like, I love that they want to, like, be a part of this. So at Maplehurst, my representative is Ken Moore. Pleasant is Janice Smith. At Main Street, getting my orders straight here, I have Paige Folt. So she was League's representative last year. She's at Main Street this year, and she was like, I don't know if you need me still, but I really liked them. I'm like, heck yeah, I need you. I want all those teacher voices. So Paige Folt, and then Adam Kreischer is also representing Main Street. At League, Adele Jameson joined us this year, so we're super happy to have her. Callie Baker is my middle school representative, Keith Mora at the high school, and then Jen sits in a lot from central office, and Jackie White as well. So we meet about twice a month, if not more, to plan some of these challenges, to go through how we're going to do this, go through some of the prizes. But those people they just wanted to be a part of this, and there's no incentive. I think I gave them a t-shirt, so they got a t-shirt out of it. But other than that, they're just excited about doing this and leading a lot of good things in their building. So that's where we are for this year.
Any questions?
Do you happen to have the stats of where we ended last year and like all
Oh,
the
you can
students, the
talk results.
percentages, like the orange, the.
You talk results, I can.
So, yeah.
This is from fourth quarter.
Really quickly, the previous school year on our state report card, our official numbers, because I will say I was pretty proud of my math. I am an English teacher, not a math teacher, and when we did our final math, we were close. Like Sean checked it and said I was within my standard deviation, so I was proud of myself. But the previous year, we were at 20.1% chronic absenteeism rate. We just ended last year at an 18.3% chronic absenteeism rate. Now, to hit the state indicator, they either give you a percent or you have to meet a certain improvement goal. And the improvement goal is a 3% improvement. Now, it's not just a straight 3%. There's this formula that you do, and once we got our math back, we didn't improve just by 3%, we improved by 9%. So we tripled the goal that they gave us, and I was so excited because our staff has been phenomenal with this. The trash talking through the challenges and the competition, like it works. It's great to see the staff get into it. So I was really super proud of how well we did last year. Our 3% goal is very attainable this year. When we're looking at what we need to do, like if we don't get it, I'll be crushed. Cause like we can do this. So we've got some good momentum going. Yeah.
Do we know how that compares to other districts our size?
Our size, I don't know. Like we can run reports to see the whole state. I do know we are, isn't it about 5% better than the state average? Like we're definitely lower, I guess is the better, lower than the state average. I can't remember, I wanna say they were at 25-ish% or so, but I don't know directly our size. Moving in the right direction, for sure.
Thank you for your work and for the presentation. Obviously, you see the enthusiasm, the charisma that comes with this group, and all the staff that are working with them, they feel it and see it every day too. So that is good to have that at the top.
Thank you.
All right, second presentation here. We have our high school foreign language department, Hannah and Jessica. It looks like Mr. Kenya is coming up front as well.
Yeah.
We didn't put you on the bill.
I can sit down. So, I was just gonna do the intro.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce, Mrs. Johnstone and Mrs. McLaughlin here. In my time, I think I've been here 12 years, I think there's been one foreign language trip in that time, right when I came in. We used to have functioning foreign language club. We have had some new faces in the department. We now have a Spanish club. How many kids signed up for Spanish club?
We had 47 kids show up to our first Spanish club meeting a couple weeks ago. So it was phenomenal. We ran out of chairs. We had people standing. It was wonderful.
So we need a bigger room, that's for sure, and a focus on our one foreign language. One of the things we haven't done in a long time is opportunities for trips. I believe there was one the year I came in, and we have just not done that in the past. So what they're gonna talk about is the possibility of planning a trip for this year, at least like permission to gain interest again. Before you hear us asking about that, I know our kids who go with GeoTrack to Europe, it's life-changing to many of them to see things abroad and go on a tour with an organization with their safety protocols and their experience in place. I think it's important. We know they're expensive. Joyce is gonna find us a bunch of money. No, I'm just kidding. We're looking to see like how we can try to defer costs. We're not to that step. We're just kind of talking about the trip we want, answering any concerns or seeing what might be out there. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I'm Hannah McLaughlin. It's nice to see you all. Our interest in trips has been extensive forever. Kids are always asking, can we do field trips? Can we go somewhere? Can we do these? And we finally sat down and started talking and brainstorming on places we can go and, what can we do so that kids can see the most in the shortest amount of time and hopefully for the least amount of money has been the biggest challenge for us. We settled on a trip that hits 3 main countries in Europe. We have the UK, we have France, and we have Spain on this itinerary. In part because we have a lot of students that wanted to take French and didn't get the opportunity. I still have kids coming up to me saying, "Parlez-vous français?" And I would say, "Oh, je parle désolé." No, I don't. But I think it would be a wonderful opportunity to at least give them a glimpse into what life is like in Europe, what life is like in different countries, and try to give them a well-rounded idea of other places. I have traveled with this company before. The last trip I did was in 2019. I took 14 students to Costa Rica with 2 other teachers. We spent 10 days traveling around Costa Rica, did all sorts of things from kayaking to zip lining, traveling through national parks, seeing museums, and it was really life-changing for a lot of students. So I would love to bring those opportunities here to Norwalk as well. I've traveled previously with other companies. EF was another tour company I traveled with, which we found that their hotels are really far away from the places you want to see. You'd spend like a half hour on a bus just to get to the city center, and the food was really terrible. So we were like, maybe we don't want to do EF tours, but we had really great time with Explorca. It is an all-inclusive trip. It includes airfare, hotels, 2 meals a day, all your entrance fees. You have a tour guide that's with you 24/7. They stay in the hotel with you. They're native speakers. Usually they speak more than 1 language too, so they'll speak to kids in English, or if it's like all Spanish kids, they'll throw Spanish in there so they can hear other people speaking. But also they try to pair you with people that speak French and Spanish if you're going both to France and Spain as well. So that has been awesome.
And how many did we want to make sure we had interest on?
So our goal is if we have 10 kids that sign up and want to go, that we would be able to run the trip this year. If not, we'd like to postpone it to the next year and see if we can garner interest and maybe have more students involved that way too. We really just wanted to try to set it up, and maybe it's something we can do every 2 years so that, kids have the opportunity like, well, that's happening my freshman year. I'm going to stick with Spanish and keep learning, and, maybe that's an incentive to keep continuing in the upper levels as well.
Any questions? So basically wanting tacit approval to proceed. So if you hear parents talking about, kids talking about, they're talking about knowing that we're nowhere close, correct? Nowhere close to making it happen. I talked about like my earlier days when we did have some of our foreign language teachers take trips. We had individual sponsorships. We know in this community there are people willing to write checks, some of the large dollar checks when you're saying $5K for an individual to go, and we had that. And we know we have some of foundations, some groups that might be willing to help. I know we had talked the other night, and we try to avoid the many fundraisers, because if you're saying you're trying to fundraise for this and you're having 14, 15 kids times 5,000 is a lot of money to draw in. And obviously we don't want it where it's a trip where only family with means are the kids that can go. That's clearly what we're doing. So we're fortunate to be in the community that we are, that we're making sure all have the opportunity to, and we have benefactors, we have people that want to help kids experience these trips, so.
This company also offers scholarships for some students, and they do have like financial assistance if your family makes under a certain threshold, which was one of the reasons where I thought this was a good company.
So what would be,
Looking for a chaperone.
You can chaperone, the prices right. No, I think it's great. I would like to see, so this would be a 2026 trip, right? So I don't think there's any harm in looking for, interest and who could do it. I do like what Brad said. I would like to see if anyone wants to help, because I would hate to see, students that can't afford to go, but if there's any interest, I know there's certain groups that love to have our kids go out and experience the world, so that would be great. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
public participation. Each person who wishes to address the board will be asked to give his or her name and address. Remarks should be limited to 3 minutes in length. If after everyone wishes to do so has had an opportunity to speak, additional comments can be made up to allotted time of 30 minutes. All right, treasurer report.
Okay, so, first we have the minutes, we have the June 11th, that was, we had missed putting those on last month. So we have the June 11th regular session meetings and the August 13th regular session meetings. Then we have the August financial reports. We did have 3 new CDs at 50,000, 4%, 3.8, and 3.8, which replaced some of our really old ones that were at almost nothing, 0.45 and 0.5, so that was kind of exciting. Of course, we did have one call today because interest rates are dropping a bit, so we had one out there, I think for 2028, that was at 5% they got called, so we'll see rates going down. Big thing in August was the second half of the tax year, real estate arrived. So now we have our full year in at the higher valuations. The increase to the general fund was 1.6 million. The bond increase was 1.1 million. Of course, that was with the new elementary building bond in there. An unfortunate thing with the bond is because it's a new levy, we don't receive state rollback money on it. The state, as part of their conserving money at the state level, got rid of rollbacks, which is the 12.5% that the state pays towards a levy. So the old bond had that because it was an old one, but the new one doesn't. So that's an unfortunate. Hopefully that's something when they do their property tax relief that they'll think about doing is covering that again going forward. Permanent improvement didn't change because the millage on that just rolls back. And the emergency levy just rolls back too because it only brings in a set amount. So we'll see what happens with taxes going forward. There's a lot out there when the legislators come back to session. They're looking to do quite a few things, so that's a concern going forward. Then we have estimated resource. We have some changes for fiscal 26 and our permanent appropriations for fiscal 26. This is a second step in the budgetary process. You approve the tax budget back last year, and then we start making some changes to it as we have new information. So these are our permanent appropriations. So we've got some additional amounts there for the state share and for our auxiliary funds so that we had a better idea of what was going to be coming in there. The state did give me a drawdown schedule, so we have an idea of what the state will be putting in for the next year towards the project. So that's where you see the 5.062 million. We did receive our first draw of a little over $1 million. We have a pooling agreement with Norwalk Catholic and North Point ESC. They provide Title I services for Norwalk resident students that attend St. Paul. It's part of the equitable services out of Title. We have library books from Maine and League with the building change. Mr. Bauman and Mrs. Snyder went through all the library books and got rid of the duplicates and the old books and really made the library quite nice. So we have quite a few books and they're going to the Salvation Army, I think, on Thursday. They're being donated to the Salvation Army. So American Fidelity Section 125. This is what makes our premiums pre-tax for employees, and it also allows employees if they want to do any voluntary purchases of like disability policies or that. Starts October 1st and runs through a year. We've had American Fidelity. There's no cost to the district for this, so that's really great. We've had them for many, many years. Ohio School Plan, they are a Council of Governments group. It's kind of like a self-funded insurance plan for a year's premium. The property, liability, violence, and automobile premium, $107,104. We do have separate from this a cyber policy, and that's a separate amount, just under $10,000. The driver's education, driving instructor, we're going to set an hourly rate of $21.24 for the time that the instructor spends driving with students. This is the same hourly rate that our Step Zero bus driver starts at, so that's why we chose that one. And then finally, we need to change our adult lunch costs. We do approve the meal costs last board meeting, but the meal consultant from ODE came back and said that it had to be at least, the minimum was $5 for adults, so that it matches up with the lunch reimbursement that we receive of $4.69. So we're gonna have to increase that as of tomorrow. And that's all I have for you.
Ms. Joyce, is there a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.9 under treasurer reports? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett? Yes. Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Witzendaler?
Yes.
Personnel.
For employment, 5.1, we have Brittany McKenna as an educational aide, Jennifer Hill as a cook. 5.2, change of classification, Ryan Shield from custodian to maintenance, effective September 15, 2025. Step correction based on experience from 5 to 6 for Shannon Logan as a transportation aide. 5.4, we have our, very thankful to have that list, and you have seen those each month. So we have increased there the certified and classified substitutes for the entire year. Next group, 5.5, we have Friday detention monitors for Norwalk High School. So this typically was our Saturday school in years past. And I think with that change, they've had better success with our kids on Friday detention. So the typical student there has been tardiness issues. Anything else, Mr. Kenya? The student
Cell
that
phone
is there
stuff,
that's
everything, and then a lot of kids we ran into work Saturday, so it keeps away from that. Friday's been inconvenient enough for them and been much better to attend and take care of. So.
Very excited to see the next two in 5.6 and 5.7. So that's study tables in Norwalk High School. Again, these are teachers working after their school day to assist our kids. So we have a healthy list that we've seen year in, year out at Norwalk High School, and we kind of revitalized what we've done at Norwalk Middle School. We're doing that. We're actually like hoping to actually go down to now, since league is a secondary schedule, and saying like, would that work there with our 6th grade population as well? So that is the list for those schools. 5.8, 5.9, both Marissa Delasantia. This is not a duplicate. Those are two different programs that she went to. Basically, that's the compensation rate for a day for professional development, and the second one being for math PD on 2 different dates there in June. 5.10 is the stipend for all K-6 staff completing Project Lead the Way, Title IIA funds. So we are looking to improve that. We've had it to the high school for some time, and we're increasing that programming by going to our lower level. So that's exciting. So kids are going to have exposure at a younger age for Project Lead the Way in the launch program. 5.11, this was solidified as of today. Stipend $3,000 for designated Title I teachers. So we have 4 listed there: Lindsay Pigman, Michelle Salisbury, Beth Scheid, and Amy Mayer. So several things here. So we're addressing the fact that we don't have that second psychologist, which primary spot is covered in IAT meetings. That part, and not having literacy coordinators. So we've had the luxury of having ESSER funds. We had Beth Scheid and Jenica Reamer, and obviously we've kind of morphed them into different roles. But those 4 are basically the acknowledgement of what we're picking up that's beyond the school day itself for those 4. So the volume is very high. The number of kids having to write RIMS is high at Pleasant. So if you look at where these teachers actually work, you'll see that 2 are at Pleasant. So there's a reason for that, because Maplehurst, large volume, Pleasant, we have the most, and then it gets less. And I'm looking at the fellow educator at the table here, like that happens, and that's kind of universal at schools. So that is why the 4 are listed there. So we were happy. We had several good meetings today, and that was finalized about midday today. So the next one, happy to have Mark Singlinger helping us. He's been a longtime teacher, and as much as he says he wants to tell us no, if you ask him nicely, we can usually get him to say yes. So he'll be a home instruction tutor for us. Next one, this was actually an advertisement by Mr. Kenya with our all-staff day, asking for, we want additional drivers, because we have so many kids that need to have seat time in that car, and we need more than just our usual list that we had for drivers. So this was an additional person that's going to help there, and that was basically, she heard Mr. Kenya talk on that Tuesday, and she said, I'd like to do that, and she's ready to go. So that's Alexander Presley. The next one, we have school bus training, so excited for him because we potentially could have another driver, and anytime we have more drivers, we get very excited. So because right now, it's tight, we have all routes covered. Unfortunately, we do have the Dr. Babkiniks of the world and others that do take the special trips, so we have things covered, but looking forward to having an additional driver here. So 5.15, supplemental contracts. So Rachel Schlauter now is at the high school, if you remember that move that she had, so she is picking up the freshman class advisor. Amy Didion, kind of finalizing our last contracts, and she'll be middle school robotics. Dylan Rickert will be assistant Main Street robotics, and he is not an educator with us. He is a trucker grad, has been at Ohio State, so he has experience, and he is happy to come back and help our kids at Main Street level. Melissa Diaz, she is in our EL department, so with Elena Perez. This is actually exciting for her, so she has the opportunity, she is, wants to be a teacher, so she's doing student teaching. So she is our employee, yet she's doing her student teaching, so that's what the large window from September to December is for her. So kind of exciting for her, and she'll be in the spot to be an educator here in short time. 5.18, we like to appreciate the volunteers we have, so a healthy list of the classroom volunteers. And one coach then as well as a volunteer, Drew Shope, as a middle school football coach, pending verification. So that is all I have for personnel.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.18 under personnel? Second? Or discussion? I just want to say, the teachers that do the extra, the table, I mean, I really want to thank them. That makes a huge difference to have that teacher there when you want extra help at the end of the day. And I know my students took advantage of that and really helped when they were struggling with math and stuff. So really appreciate them stepping up and doing that, and would love to see it at the other schools if there's interest. So that's great.
And we try to get multiple content areas, so those critical ones where kids need the help, you're having teachers there. So, and like I said, the ones who have done this have done it for many years. So
That's awesome. Any discussion? All right, roll call please.
Okay, Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett? Yes. Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenhouse?
Superintendent.
yes, you have an attachment for the updated cook job description on 6.1. 6.2 is a maximum contract for nursing services. This is for a special needs student, basically trying to get, it could be a one-on-one situation where that nurse would work with one of our students in our building. So that is that. 6.3, continue on with nursing services. These are the two nursing contracts we have with Fisher Titus. So they have been great. We've had multiple years with them now, and like we have top notch. We are fortunate to have the two that we have. So that is directly contracted with Fisher Titus. So that's the difference between those two. 6.14, agreement to provide services for Vermillion Local School student enrolled at Norwalk St. Paul Catholic at $60 per hour. 6.5, Ohio Developmental Supports Agreement for 25-26 year for student transportation. Next one, student-free attendance. We fortunate to have 2 exchange students. So we've talked about, putting our kids in a situation to learn about other areas. And here we have a student from Uzbekistan who started today or yesterday? Mr. Kenya?
I was out all day today, so I wasn't sure if
Okay.
he was in. We had an SBC meeting.
He
so.
was in the building today.
Today?
I
There
don't
you
think
go.
he actually started in class, but he was in the building.
Okay.
today.
So this was interesting. We had a late call a week ago. A parent said, I would really like to host, and we knew we had one. So we had the girl from Germany who had started since the beginning of the school year. And so I got the call, met with a parent and said, yeah, absolutely. We can have another student, so worked out well. So we have a male from Uzbekistan. So you have the profile and the interest and where that person, so we're gonna do our best to make sure that both students have a great experience here in Norwalk, Ohio, and Norwalk City School District, and it's definitely enriching for them to see that. So definitely having a good family matters, but a good school and a good community shows them that this is the place that you'd like to see and visit. 6.7 is commissioning agent. So this was part of one of our hires with the new build. So the commission agent is basically looking at the HVAC, the electrical, the building envelope of what the new building will have. So Mr. Ritzenthaler, myself, several others, we were going through a lengthy question by, we're hiring Stan, and they're out of the Dayton area. So they're basically ensuring that we're getting all the systems that we want in the new build. So some of those have to be discussed because you don't know, you think you know you like something, but obviously there's costs associated with that. What type of electrical, what type of HVAC, what type of roofing systems, you get into all those conversations. So it was pretty deep, and I think Mr. Ritzenthaler would say it was in the weeds.
7 pages long.
Yeah. Of what we would like for this new building. So they are gonna be here next month. So we're gonna have the entire team of our architect, construction manager at risk, commissioning agent here at our next meeting. So they're gonna actually explain like their roles and responsibilities. So we brought 2 different outfits in for the commissioning agent, and it was clear through the interview that Stan was rose to the top as the best for us. So you have many PDFs on their exhibits and the approval of that contract to hire them. 6.8, the last one here, Nate Whaley, this is continuation. He's done this for many years. It's been a great trip for the adults as well as the kids who experience that, and that's going on the honors trip to Washington, D.C., and there are the dates. So the reason that's there for approval is because clearly you need to approve any overnight trip. And that's all I have.
Is there a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.8 under superintendent's report?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
Can you expand on 6.4? Elementary school student?
Sure.
If
They
that's
have a
allowed.
student at the preschool, and it's hard for them to get here to service the preschool. We're responsible for special ed students. The resident district is responsible for a special ed student wherever they're at. So that's why Vermillion wants to pay us to provide the service
they
to
want
the
to pay
special ed
us.
student.
Okay. I understand now. Thank you.
I'm excited to have exchange students. I'm still
Yes.
friends with a student that I went to school with on Facebook that was an exchange student, so it's a really cool opportunity for
From what
our
country
kids.
that year? I probably
Germany.
remember. Okay.
I'm sure you think.
If I go back to the file, I'll know.
Yeah.
Jamie is at our church as we speak.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Any discussion?
No, this is Stan Engineering is a great group. They're really impressive, thorough. Wow.
That's what we need.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with them. Ooh, they threw some stuff at us. I know some of the things they were talking about, but they're pretty much on top of things. So.
You get to like the automated versus like manual systems. So even like going to a restroom setting, like you want manual flush, you want the automated, the eye, you have dimmers, and so we have dimmers like we typically think in this space or in our homes, but you have dimmers also that look at basically how much brightness is there in this room. If we have natural light coming in, these lights, is there value there to say they dim because I have natural light coming in? So there's 2 trains like kind of thought on that, like that makes sense, you save $1, but everything being LED, do you save that much, or is that just an irritation to the teachers because you realize why are these lights dimming even though there's bright sun coming through? It's like dim over here. So there's a lot of systems in place. When you walk into a room, you have the sensors. So okay, a teacher's working on the weekend, those systems are, it's going to be colder or hotter depending on the season. Teacher walks in because they're working on the weekend, temperature goes up. So you have a lot of these sensor-based things. We get into like keeping kids like healthy or not. You talk about ionization systems that, is there the research to say like the cost of those, the air circulation to keep kids safe. So like hospitals have looked at that, and some have studied to say, yeah, absolutely. Schools have put that in to say those systems, keeping fresh air in out and how it's circulated, those things matter. So like that's the depth of what Stan engineers will be looking at. And we looked at, ceiling roof systems above a gym, like internal drain, internal vents versus downspouts. So all those things are being looked at. So it's a lot of things. So they're ensuring that we're getting what we're asking for, and then they do the training aspect with our people that are on the ground. So Corey, Tim, working with our team to make sure we know what the systems we have and how we use them. Teachers know if we're giving them the ability to adjust controls in their classroom, what can they do? So the plus and the minus on temperature control. So yeah, it's pretty intensive, and then it kind of hit Ralph and myself with knowing how many decisions are going to be made in this building, because we're talking big areas as to how things flow into another from the big picture of that, and now you get the smallest of details and you realize there's a lot of decisions to be had. So
And they're clearing their schedule to be here in October. And I hope the public come
to the meeting with the architects and the contractors and these guys and the Westfield group. I mean, they're gonna explain some things that right down to the point, so you'll be impressed.
It was exciting to be part of the interview process for some of these, and I mean, I know that people may not understand, but I feel like we have a awesome team from every aspect that, you know, their manager at risk, our architect, and I didn't even get to meet them, but there's excitement there, and I feel like we're gonna have a beautiful building that makes sense for the community and the district, and it's pretty exciting.
And Taylor Group, the construction guys, they're extremely excited about this project. And it's so wonderful to see that energy that they have, and knowing that we've got those people, you know, and that's gonna help us out tremendously.
So that CMR contract will be finalized, so that'll be on the October,
OFCC's finishing it up.
yeah,
right
so
now.
Helena Gonzalez, she's finishing that part, so that's why you're not seeing it tonight. We're just seeing the commission agent, but that'll be on October, and then, those folks will be there with Garmin Miller, with Stan, and then, Shirgalis is with Westfield Consulting Group, and hopefully Helena Gonzalez too. So, we had talked October 8th, and I put it out there, and it was time I put it out today. I had one individual said that switching to the day before. So I know we had talked different things of what dates would be, so I will have to get back with you as far as would October 7th be a workable date? Because if all of them can make that happen, and then we can potentially look at doing a board meeting change for October 7th. Because I had talked before doing the second Tuesday, which was, you know, we have different things we're looking at then that might be. So.
You never know what you decide.
So basically, it was October 8th. I know you guys agreed to that, but if we could do October 7th, and then we would like to do that then the day before.
I think we have everything back.
What's that?
I think we have answers back from all of them that they can do.
Oh, okay. You're seeing real time.
I see, I've got
Okay.
Shirgalis's,
Yeah.
Garmin Miller, Stan, and C.T. Taylor. The only one missing is Helena
Okay.
from OFCC.
I mean, I love that, I wanna make sure our board's here, and I feel like it's a really important meeting. And it's just little things that I want people to know, they're not just building a building, I mean, what this C.T. Taylor, one of the presentation parts that I loved is they talked about bringing our elementary students on site, signing different parts of the building as it goes up, so their name is somewhere in the building forever, and they were part of that. Talking about letting different community members come through, greeting them, welcoming them on the site, and then one other cool thing was putting a live webcam up, so that anytime any community member can dial in and see what's happening on the construction site. So they're really focused on community involvement. This is a community project, and I love that they cared about all the little details like that. So.
And the high school students, even though it's not a high school itself, say, we have our vocational students, Eddie Hovey, in the trades, to bring them in to say, well, how cool is that? Like, I helped build that school. Now, you might have only done a couple blocks, you might have helped run electrical 12 feet, but like, I did that building. Like, so that's pretty impressive, because they said they bring kids on to do that, so, you know, a high school kid that's maybe Ehovey, maybe is Norwalk High School, doing those parts and working with somebody, that's a pretty neat thing to do. And talk about the excitement you would have, because I did something locally, and that might be enough to launch a kid into a trade. So, yeah, that was very cool for sure.
Any other
So yeah, Joyce, you're getting real time. I don't have my
Yeah.
email.
Don't give
I'm
us
glad
my
you
email.
can.
So, we're probably good to move it.
Okay.
Okay, that'd be
And
great.
then that'd be good for
Yeah.
every Tuesday from here on out, right? So,
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call for that, please.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Any other board discussion, comments? OSBA?
I do need to know who's going, because reservations have to be made on the 16th for the hotel, which is like, you wouldn't think this, but it's a process. If you're not at the 16th at 9 o'clock, you don't get a room.
Yeah.
So I have to register everyone that's gonna go ahead of time, so that we have that, and then I can do it on the 16th. So I do need to know who's gonna go.
That's November 16th?
Yeah, 16th to the 18th.
Yeah, I will not be able to.
I think I keep this one. You know what, yes.
looks good for me. Yeah, you're gonna be a little busy.
Listen,
Why, Caleb?
Brady the baby.
Right. I need a break.
You're not wrong.
No, she can bring the baby. I'll hold the baby, she can hold the baby.
Gotta get into it.
No, I'd like to go. I haven't went yet. And, with us being on the board for another 4 years, I'm excited to have some more education on that, and I would love to be there. So, sounds great.
Can I add one thing? Last month, we were excited to find out that our Boys and Girls Club would be back again for the fall and for this year. And the goal is to have at least 50 students that would be involved in that. It started last Tuesday, and we are almost to that 50 mark.
Nice.
You know, so, you know, it's been very exciting. I see those, you know, the emails coming through, like, so joined, registered. It's been a constant, so I think the word's out there, and it's going to be extremely successful. Also, you know, finding out in August that the club was going to be back, kind of put our transportation and our secretaries and everybody on a quick track to try to arrange the busing from the buildings to the middle school. And they did an awesome job, you know, because that does take a lot of, you know, a lot of changes at the last second to make sure that we had transportation for those kids to get there. So they're off and running, so it's a great day.
Thanks for them for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know you've been spearheading the military families thing, and you had that designation for us. One thing I was wondering is there a way that we could recognize, like, at each building, teachers and staff that are veterans? Like, you know how we have the picture board in front of the office with all the students that have gone off to the military. I think we need to recognize our teachers that have made that call too. Is there a way that we can, I know at the new building, that's not gonna be a problem, you know, because we'll do that, but, I just think, I know, I see every now and then in November we do it, but I think they should be recognized all the time, because it's really everything that they do.
And in October, we, as a district, in all the buildings are being recognized by the Ohio School Board Association in Perrysburg. So they were impressed that all of our buildings were recognized, you know, as Purple Star buildings. So they are going to recognize this at their fall conference.
That's awesome. Love that.
Are we still fine on RSVP if Jeremy would like to go?
I sent out the other.
Okay. I didn't know if we had to say exact number.
But yeah.
So with, we had our trip, as you know, last Friday, so I'm looking at Robin. She was one of the 30 plus that attended from Norwalk, and Jen went as well. So went to Talmadge, went to Cloverleaf, came back. So yeah, a lot of things that we've learned that we absolutely love. Other things you learn that like we don't want to do, we don't want to replicate. Next Tuesday, we're taking some more individuals, and we're going to Powers Elementary, which is in Amherst, it's K-3, and then returning to Shelby, which is a similar setup, and they're doing like the K-8 model. And we know some of the things because Garmin Miller, that was their design. So some of the things, some of my, I know Lindsay and Allison Dowdy are very excited to see what they have, like their special needs. Some of their rooms are very impressive. So I think we'll get to see that. So you get to take in more schools of this and that, and what do we want to do, because we know these are different ages. I mean, PK to 8 is a massive age group, so it's almost like we could have 3 different, completely different design schools within this building, looking completely different. It's not just going to be rooms of duplicating kindergarten through 8th grade. It's going to look this way. This wing will look completely different, and I think we've all recognized that, and that's the way it's going to be, and that's teacher driven by, okay, this works for K, well, that would not be the case for 8th graders. So it'll be interesting because it's a huge, it's a big building, and we're going to have many different things happening in that. So
Did you have to make it to the graduating classes?
we didn't get that. Well, we spent our time in middle school, and then we did kind of leaked into the high school, but they didn't have any of those.
I figured you'd want to see
historical
Norris in a
shots
mullet.
there. Yeah, we
Mullet.
with the new school potentially removed those and did what we did, which go to a video board, just because you run out of wall space, so you can't do that. So yeah, perhaps if I was in the right space in high school, I would have found a video board to make 1993 reappear in front of me. So.
And then also, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's every year that's involved in Reading Under the Lights. We went there Monday, me and my husband and our kids, and I just absolutely love going to that every year. And even if my kids get, older and aren't in elementary, I still want to go because it's so fun. And really not sure how much reading gets done under the lights, but it was really fun. I felt like, I don't know what the turnout number was, but it seemed really impressive. The weather was beautiful. It's always impressive to me to see how many of our educators and staff members come out to help every year. It's beyond, I just hope they know how thankful we are that they donate their time. Our administrators, I see everybody all same faces every year, it's awesome. And then I just want to say I thought it was adorable, and I've already said this to you guys, so I'm repeating myself, but the football players are, come out and are there for the kids, and whoever got a hold of the mic said, we're gonna have a big duck goose over here on this side of the field, come over, and you just saw this massive wave of the kids run to that side of the field, and then they started this huge duck goose, and they got too big. They're like, okay, that's not gonna work, because it's the width of the field. So then they broke it up into 3 different ones, and it was so cute. They all played so nice. They did duck goose, again, no reading, but they had their books. But nobody wanted to go home, Finally, somebody came over the mic and they're like, okay, thanks guys, everybody, thanks. And they just kind of got playing duck goose for a minute. So anyway, I love seeing community events like that. I just think it really showcases our community and what it's really about. So thank you for everyone who does that every year. And our sponsors who make it possible. So very cool. Any other discussion? All right, so we have executive session on tonight to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property, a competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with section 505.10. Can I have a motion to move into executive session? Oh, and also to consider employment or compensation of public employees. Sorry, is there a motion to move?
Will there be
No, there should not be any.
so moved?
So, yeah. Any seconds?
Second.
I quit. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzicola?
Yes.
All right, time is 7:33.